So the thoughts kept telling me, just do it, man. She'll feel your pain. Just do it. She'll feel your pain. She'll feel sorry for everything she's done. And I was struggling to the point where I wanted just to let it all out. Or good afternoon, brothers and sisters. This is John Swan. I want to share my testimony with you guys. I really don't know where to start because this is something that I've been wanting to share, but I just didn't know exactly where to start. But now that, I prayed on it, I had to really go back in my head. I figured out exactly where I can start at to be able to share my testimony with you guys. Because a lot of you guys don't really know who I am, other than family that's following me. I want to be able to share my testimony with you guys to be able to help people that went through my experience or currently going through my experience to be able to help them out. I'm gonna give you guys my story. So yeah, as you guys see the title, you guys see the thumbnail, you guys see the sins that I've committed through my journey. I would say one of the biggest sins that had me for years was pornography. I struggled with pornography at the age of 10. I believe I was in 4th grade. That's where everything started. So we're gonna start there. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Give this video a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you guys are new. Grab your popcorn. I'm gonna show you guys my story. Let's get it. So going back to 2004, I was in 4th grade. That's where I, remember getting hooked on pornography. I've been hooked on pornography up until 2023 of December. Just being straight up and honest with everybody. 19 years of my life were delivering me from that. I'm gonna share you guys, the story of my story growing up. So I grew up as a young kid. I grew up in a Christian home. Let's get that straight. I grew up in a Christian household. My father always taught us about the Bible, about God at a very young age. I remember like it was yesterday of us, me and my brothers and sisters just sitting down at the little table, the kid table, and just, my pop's reading scriptures to us, and we're all just enjoying. We all reading scriptures and mimicking scriptures, and I can remember like it was yesterday of us just eating ice cream at the table because my mom and dad used to always make homemade ice cream, and we'd always eat it and read our scriptures together. Things tend to make a turn when they started going through a divorce. When they started going through a divorce, that's when I began to experience my parents separated. It was a very tough time as a kid because I grew up seeing a lot of stuff that a kid shouldn't see. But as a kid, that's when I got hooked on porn. At the age of 10, I was in 4th grade. I remember like it was yesterday. There was this particular young lady. I don't know if you guys, WWE, you guys real familiar with WWE. I used to watch WWE as a kid. Real heavy fan. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, all them guys, The Undertaker. But there was actually a particular woman named Mickie James that I used to be heavily obsessed with as a kid. I used to think she was the hottest thing ever as a kid. So when I would watch her do her little WWE moves or whatever, I used to be very I used to look at her like I used to think she was very hot, I used to think she looked good. I was lusting after this woman. I was only 10 years old at the time. So I found myself getting real curious. And if you guys know what I'm talking about curious, that's exactly what I mean by curious. I started looking up, certain things I shouldn't be looking up. And I stumbled on a video. Now that I think about it, I don't even know if that was really her. I don't know. But I stumbled on a video that looked like her. Or so I thought that was her, but it looked like her. Mickie James having sexual intercourse with other guys or whatever. How should I say it? That's when I experienced my first ever experience. It just happened. I didn't even use my hand. It just happened. And when I experienced that feeling, I got hooked to that feeling. I just got hooked to it, to where I started watching a lot of porn. Doorway started right there for me. So as I'm growing up, my parents, again, I was raised as a Christian. They always told, me, my brothers and sisters to save ourselves for marriage, no sex before marriage, save your virginity for your wife, save your virginity for your husband, all that. So I grew up in a strict family household at an early age and up until the divorce. Then, that's when things started getting super relaxed. That's when I started having more free will to do what I want to do. So that's where the porn came in. So now that you guys got that out the way, we're going to go to the age of when I lost my virginity. Now, I was probably at the age of 19 or 20. I lost my virginity at an older age. because I always had the core value of saving myself for marriage, and I really wanted to just save myself for marriage. But I did get hit with a fear of dying a virgin, and I'm just gonna be straight up honest with everybody. So I end up, deciding that, hey, I want to lose my virginity. And it's crazy what they say, you'll always remember the first person you lose it to. That's a fact. You will. I'll never forget the first person I lost mine to, and I don't condone that at all. As a Christian man, I wish I could take that back, but it happened, and I lost my virginity to a particular young lady that I was dating at the time. That's when everything started to come, as far as that's when I started to do more sin. That's when I started to indulge more in sin. I feel like I wasn't living my life during that particular time at that age, so I wanted to experience the sin. I'm gonna just be honest with you. That was my mindset back then. I didn't care no more. I didn't care what God thought. I didn't care what my mom thought. I didn't care what my family thought. I wanted to experience sin, and I wanted to have fun. I didn't want to die and be one of those guys that, damn, I died a virgin. I never got to experience what it felt like. So I met another young lady. The first young lady I lost my virginity to just didn't work out. It never worked out. So we end up just not working things out. We end up breaking up. I don't really consider that a relationship because we were only together for about a month or two. So I don't consider that, because that a real relationship to me is a year. So she was just like someone that we liked each other. We wanted to be with each other, but things didn't work out. So fast forward to the age of me being 21 years old. At the age of 21, I met this young lady. She was actually older than me, but I met her. Ended up becoming my first ever serious relationship, girlfriend. I found her really attractive. That's when everything started to take it downhill for me. That's when I started to realize I started to go through a lot of storms dating this particular woman. But this is just my experience, brothers and sisters. So coming into this relationship, things didn't work out either. I've sinned a lot with this particular woman. The relationship became toxic, toxic to the point where we would always argue, fight, and it just got to the point where during the 6 years I was with this young lady, jail time occurred. I went to jail behind her. The relationship was just toxic to the point where I'd find certain things in her phone. It was a very abusive relationship. The reason why I'm bringing this testimony up, brothers and sisters, I'm not throwing any shame on any woman that I've dated. I'm not throwing no shame at all. I forgive her, but it just didn't work out. I experienced a lot of heartbreaks. When I dated her, that's when I experienced suicidal thoughts. Dating this particular woman, I experienced me wanting to kill myself because I couldn't handle the fact that some other guy had her. I'm just being honest with you guys, brothers and sisters. I'm being completely honest. This was me at a younger age. So I've gotten hurt in that relationship to the point where it opened up a lot of doorways for me to have unforgiveness towards women. This particular woman I really loved. She was my first love. I think now looking back, and I was probably too on her, and that's my fault. My fault. And she just wasn't on me just as much as I was on her. Now that I look back on it, I was on her way too tough. I really wanted to marry this chick. This is one thing about me, brothers and sisters. If I date, I look long term. You know what I mean? But now I'm obviously wiser, and I'm real patient now. But during this particular moment of my life, I wanted to marry her. She was someone that I wanted to marry and do things right with, and so I thought so. It was a night where I found out, and mind you guys, we wasn't together during this particular time. We had broke up. So during this particular time, I didn't know how to let go, if that makes sense. I didn't know how to let go, and I still wanted to be with her. I'm just being honest. I still wanted to be with her, but she didn't want me like I wanted her. So I found out she was in LA with some other dude. It hurt my heart because I knew she was out there, doing her thing out there. You guys know what I'm talking about. I contemplated wanted to, take my own life. I'm just being honest with you guys. And I can remember like it was yesterday. I was in a house. I was in complete darkness in the house, and I was contemplating on taking my own life. And I had a note of my social media stuff. I had wrote a note down, just writing a sorry note to my family, I wrote down my passwords of my social media. That way they can just they have access to my social media. And I had a knife on my right hand side constantly. So while I'm writing all this stuff down, I'm in tears. I'm crying because I'm hurt. So yeah, so when that happened, I had the knives down. I had a knife. It was a super sharp knife that I had. I was very close to just slitting my wrists. Right after I wrote down the letter with my social media and the sorry letter to my family, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it because as a believer, I always knew people that if you took your own life, you'll go straight to hell. What I was experiencing, even when I was sad and crying, I knew that if I took my own life, I would be ticketing my way to hell. So the thoughts kept telling me, just do it, man. She'll feel your pain. Just do it. She'll feel your pain. She'll feel sorry for everything she's done. And I was struggling to the point where I wanted just to let it all out. But I couldn't do it no matter how bad I wanted to. I couldn't do it because I knew if I did it, I would be going to hell. And I didn't want to die in my sins and go straight to hell. So I called my dad up. Crying to him. I said, Pops, he knew. He felt it. My pops felt it. He felt it. See, one thing with my pops, he know, like, the Holy Spirit will use my dad, and my dad knows. He knew I was struggling with suicide. So I asked Pops, I said, Pops, I need your prayers, because I'm contemplating. He prayed over me. And when he had prayed over me, I felt the peace of the love of God that I wasn't able to I couldn't do it no more at that particular time. So that's when occurred. And I was dating this young lady. That's what happened. Obviously me and her got back together, and it just didn't work out for those 6 years. It just did not work out. While I was with this young lady, I found out she was talking to other guys again, and I was very suicidal again. And I found out, she was sleeping with other dudes while she was with me, and I just couldn't take that. So I was very, very depressed. I had come to her and asked her, is there something wrong with me? Is there something with me that I need to fix as a man? Like, what's wrong with me? I didn't feel handsome. I didn't feel loved. I felt very ugly inside and out. And the reason why I felt ugly is because I didn't feel like she really loved me. I didn't feel like I was enough for her. So when I experienced that with her, I was, again, suicidal because I found out she was sleeping with another guy. So here comes another young lady that I met. I met another young lady. During this time with me and the person I was with, we had broke up. When me and her broke up, I met this other young lady. I was still getting over my first ex. So I didn't think anything serious with this particular young lady. She saw me something completely different than what my first ex had shown me. And she had shown me love, and me and her would always spend a lot of time together. So now this is the second girl now. So again, I didn't think I was going to take this particular person serious at all, but she was always around. She was there for me. And she was there when I was weak. I'm talking about weak, where I was suicidal. I didn't want to live. But when I would always talk to her, she would just, bring joy and happiness to me. She actually helped me getting over my first ex, because I was never getting over that girl. I thought it was very impossible for me to get over my first ex at the time. But when I met this particular chick, she helped me get over my ex. So I ended up falling for this chick. Hey guys, I know, but this is my testimony, and this is what God is allowing me to tell you guys. This is what I had to go through. So I started to really like her. I wanted to do things completely different than what I experienced with my first ex of 6 years of hell. When I say hell, 6 years, I went to jail behind my first ex. So my first ex, it was a very abusive relationship where we both put our hands on each other. I'm gonna be a man and be honest, completely honest with everybody on here. It was a mutual thing. So when I met this particular, girl, I didn't want none of that. I wanted to be complete opposite. But I fell into fornication with her. And that's when things started to change, it just, with that second relationship, it just didn't work out because what ruined that relationship was the trust. She was living with me at the time. This is the second girl, by the way. She was living with me at the time. I had a very close friend of mine that I'd known for 18, 19 years. And he had his girl. We both went out. All of us went out as a couple. I met up at their house. Me and my second ex that I was with, she didn't want to go. And it was not like her. She's usually down to go to places with me, but she just, for this particular night, she didn't want to go. And I kind of forced it. I was like, nah, let's have fun, man. Let's get out the house. Let's have fun. I'm trying to be that, that boyfriend at the time. Let's have fun. Let's do things. I finally talked her into it. So I go to my boy's house. She's mad in the car. So I told her, let me go talk to my boy, because I'm thinking, okay, maybe if you're not really in a good mood, I'm not going to try to press it. So I went to my dog, or the guy that back then, I called him, he was my dog back then. I went to him. So I told him the situation. When I had told him, he seemed like he didn't really care too much. He still wanted me to come out, have fun. No, bro, let's have fun, man. Forget all that. My girl just came out of town from Texas. Let's have fun. I'm like, all right. I'm not trying to be the party pooper. So I said, all right, fine. I'll go talk to my girl in the car. So I tell my girl, she's not really too happy about it, but she riding with it. So we end up, we end up meeting up at the house, and then we ended up going up to the bowling alley. And we went to the bowling alley. We were having a good time. At the bowling alley. And then what happened was, when we got back home, alcohol was involved too. We were drinking. Everybody was drinking. Everybody was intoxicated. I'm not too much of a drinker. I'm more, well, back then, I was never too much of a drinker. I was more of a smoker, a pothead type of guy. So, but everybody was under the influence. So we'd play Uno. That was our game. All four of us, me, him, her, and my girl, we all play Uno. The girl I was with, she ended up, siding with him, which to me, I thought was really weird, because I'm like, why are you siding with him? Why are you trying to make him win when you're on my team? It was those couples versus me and my girl, or me and my ex at the particular time. And I was kind of low-key, I was mad, because I was like, she's supposed to be on my team trying to help us win, and she's helping that dude win. It was pissing me off. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go outside, take a breather, because I was getting hot about that. It just didn't feel right to me. I go walk outside, and I felt something tell me that I couldn't trust the person that I was with, and I brushed it off. I said, nah, he ain't like that. Nah. Something kept telling me, go back. I said, nah, he ain't like that. Nah, I can trust him. He's a trustworthy dude. He's my best friend. I know him since 4th grade. He would never cross me like that, never. I was gone for 15 minutes. I was outside taking just a steam break for 15 minutes, and I kept feeling that urge to want to go back, but I kept ignoring it. Finally go back in. The girl I was with was in the room with another girl and him, and my so-called, bro or whatever. I was wondering why she was in that room. She came back out, and when she came back out looking like she seen a ghost. I knew something wasn't right. I felt it. Something wasn't right. So I questioned her. What you doing up in that room? Oh, nothing happened. So I'm over here, arguing with her, mad as hell, because I'm like, it don't look right. You look like you were up to no good. When you came, and the way you see me, it didn't look right. She said, nothing happened. And I asked my dog during that particular time, I said, if he tells me nothing happened, I'm gonna believe what he tells me, because I'm a type of dude. I'm a solid dude. That's the type of friend I am. I don't like to assume the worst. I like to give everybody respect and just know that, hey, you're a good person. I don't want to think negative. He had told me that, nah, bro, ain't nothing happened. Everything good. And I said, okay, that's all I needed to hear. All right, if he said nothing happened, I believe it. I left it alone. But in my heart, it still didn't feel right. But I left it alone because he told me nothing happened. So next morning comes, or the next morning or 2 days go by, he pops up. When he pops up at the pad, this is my close friend. When he pops up at the pad, the girl I'm currently with, she gets very irritated and mad. He's here. Like, why is he here? I said, what do you mean? Now mind you, I'm picking up on her attitude. But I'm like, she never acts like this towards anybody. Never acts like this. She's like, why is he here? She got mad and she went outside, and he was there. He seen everything. And and when he had seen that, I noticed he couldn't really look at me in my face. I just noticed it was more of a down look like this. He couldn't look at me in my eyes. And I knew something was up because she was acting different to where she got super upset that he was even there. So I'm still blinded, not knowing what happened. So he leaves. I don't think anything of it. I'm still thinking about it a little bit, but I'm not really. I'm blinded. And then me and her, for some, I don't know how, but me and her were just on bad terms for a little bit. She was still living with me, but I think she had took off with her family member or whatever. And he had called me because he had wanted me to talk to her about a certain situation that had happened. So I call her up. I say, hey, is there anything you need to tell me? And mind you, I didn't know nothing. I don't know nothing. I say, is there anything you need to tell me? She says, yes, but you can't get mad. Now I'm thinking she's gonna talk to me about the situation with that he had brought up. But it had nothing to do with what he was talking about. It had to do with them being in the room. To the night I was in the room with your friend and his girl. Now you could only picture my mind. Now I'm like what? She tells me, I just want to come off with a fresh start with you and just tell you this because I want to make it right with you. I said, all right. She told me he had touched, he grabbed her butt. She had, it was a mutual thing. It was mutual. She was on his bed or whatever, and she was, twerking on his bed, shaking her butt on his bed, and he was smacking her butt. When she had told me, I was pissed. I was extremely hot. I told her man, how could you do me like this, man? I trusted you. I was angry at her during that particular time. I know this is completely off topic of what I'm trying to say, but this is weird. You guys are gonna have to listen in this part. During that particular time, I kept getting the name Sid coming back to me. Because I was looking for a whole new name. I was looking for a whole new identity. During that particular time, I went by Israel. So I was looking for something different, a different change. And the name Sid kept coming back to me. But anyway, we're going to go back to what happened. And I'll tell you guys why I'm bringing that name up. So that happens. So when that happens, I'm pissed at her. I'm saying all type of crazy stuff to her on the phone. I'm angry. I'm angry. Tell her, man, you got to leave. You can't be in my house no more. You got to go. I'm on the phone, though. Come pick up your stuff. Get your stuff out my pad. I'm done with you. I ain't messing with you no more. I called her all types of names. I didn't call the dude back. I didn't call the dude that I was friends with for 18 years back because I didn't want to hear it. I already knew what he was going to say. I already knew, nah, bro, she lying. I already knew because I knew she was telling me the truth because she wanted to make things right with me. So it's she wanted to make things right with me. So I just knew she was telling me the truth because why would you tell me that? Why? What's the point of you telling me this for? You're living with me. What's the point of you telling me this for? So she ended up telling me this. I was heartbroken. She ended up finally coming by, picking up her stuff. During that particular night, I was bitter, angry. I remember like it was yesterday. I was sitting down by myself again in a dark place. My place had light, but it didn't feel like there was light. This is light, but it didn't feel like that. It felt like it was just all black to me. Because I feel like I couldn't trust nobody. I just felt super discouraged, hopeless. Damn, 18 years just went down the window. I felt suicidal. I felt angry. I had rage in my heart, bitterness, hatred. I even had murder in my heart. Going back to the name Sid, that's when I transitioned over to the name Sid. That name kept calling me. To find out that's, and that was my spirit guide's name, by the way. I had a spirit guide named Sid. That name kept calling me, and that's when I transitioned over from Israel to Sid. And by the way, that name was my dad's name. That was his gang name from the streets. My dad's he's from 5 Deuce Broadway in LA. He moved to Sacramento. He banged in Sacramento from 29th Street or whatever. My pops was a Crip back in the day. So I ended up taking on that name, Sid, the name he had. That name brought back spirits of what he used to do. I noticed because my dad was a Crip. Now, mind you, I grew up in a Christian household. I was never in no gangs. I was one of those guys that stayed out of the trouble. The only trouble I had was really with women. I'm just being honest with you guys. Both of my exes, not with just regular women, just with the exes I was currently with. I started hating red. It was crazy. I started hating red. I don't even like red. I started being more fascinating with the Crip walk. I started being more fascinating with gangs. I started actually working out more, transforming from looking like this to how I look like now. And I told myself I will never allow no other chick to ever treat me like this. She's gonna regret this. I will never, ever allow any woman to treat me like this ever again. Because my first ex treated me like garbage. Then my second ex I was with, she did me the same way. So I had bitterness and hatred towards, women. I didn't even like women. I liked messing with them, of course. I liked fornicating with them, of course. I wasn't, gay or nothing like that. I always had my guards up when it came to women. I had an attitude towards women, man. Like, if I see a beautiful woman walk past, she looked like she trouble. I would just it'd be like that. Like, I wanted to sleep with him, but I just didn't like him, if that makes sense. Because of what I went through. I had bitterness towards women. This is my story. During that whole process, I ended up getting in shape, working out. I ended up spending 90 days in the gym. Start working out. I started transforming my looks. I started getting my body right. And that's where I'm at right now. I got my body right. I went from this guy to this guy. And I've never felt the best shape of my life. I was like, yeah, I'm getting a lot of tips from women. Women are talking to me. I'm getting more options out there. So I lost a lot of weight. I was fat and I got skinny. So I transitioned over from being fat boy to skinny boy now. And then my second ex comes back in the picture. She comes back, she hits me back up. But last year, she hits me back up in 2023 in January. She hits me out of nowhere. I took her back. I took her back. She ended up moving back in with me. So when she moves back in with me, another problem happens. It's just me and her relationship just was never. It was really never meant. It was just always rocky. So me and her ended up breaking up around March or April because the relationship between us was just getting super toxic. I dropped her off at my pop's house because it wasn't because we wasn't getting along. The transition started because I started to seek the Lord during that particular time with her. I put a promise ring on her. Because I wanted to do things right with her. I told her, I said, hey, I love you. I gave her a promise ring, and I wanted to marry this particular woman. I wanted to marry her, but I knew we couldn't be living with each other. So I had to get her out my spot because I wanted to do things right. If we were meant to be, then we would be meant to be. That's just how I felt back then. So yes, I ended up lying and telling her, hey, I'm getting kicked out. I'm getting an eviction notice or whatever. I'm gonna need you out. But she wasn't trying to leave my pot. That was the only way for me to get her out, for us to do it right. But she looked at it in a negative way, to where I'm kicking her out, all this type of stuff. And I was just like, nah, I want to be with you. I want to marry you, but let's do it God's way. So she was bitter and angry at me. My pops told me she was angry at me, bitter at me. She was really upset with me. And at that time, I didn't care because I really wanted to do things right with her. But it didn't work out. And this is where my sin got deeper. Is when I found out she got married. Yeah. I found out she got married to another guy. And that's when I just went for broke. I threw God out the window. I literally threw God out this man. I'm done. I threw God out the window. I wasn't fully a sinner. I was still struggling. But man, once she got married, I threw God out the window. I'm just being honest with you. And when I threw God out the window, I started smoking so much weed because I couldn't handle the pain. I literally just found out. But my dad, she got married and things just didn't work out. She ended up leaving my dad's house. And when she left my dad's house, she got married to another guy. That fast. I know. Hey. I don't know. So I was hurt. This was last year. I was hurt. This was in 2023. I was hurt. So I ended up turning to smoking weed to numb the pain. I found myself realizing the pain, then weed, I would smoke so much weed to where I wouldn't even get high no more. I had to like detox my body. And when I do detox my body for those 2 or 3 days, I would get super tormented. So I had to go back to smoking weed. So the best way for me to get over that torment was, quote unquote, get over, which I wasn't really getting over. I would work out. So I started lifting weights. I started hitting the gym. I started taking my weightlifting even more serious than what I was when I lost the weight the first time when I was fat. When I lost the weight to be skinny, I started lifting heavy weight. I wanted to be buff. I wanted to get big. So you know what, man? I'm gonna get big this, man. So I took all my anger and frustration out in the gym last year. And for 60 days, I went from skinny to buff. I got my pop's genetics. He's pretty solid. He's a pretty solid dude. I was still empty inside because I was doing that to escape what was really happening with me. So, fast forward, I haven't talked to my first ex in a year. I finally talked to her around October of last year. I ran into her. I know her car. I ran into her at a gas station. So I approached her. You know, it was me. I made the first move. I'm gonna be straightforward because I felt like, dang, she didn't see me. I know I'm getting a lot of, man. I know she'll see me. She gonna be regret, man. So I finally approached her. Hey, how are you doing? This is my first ex. She see me. She's all shook. You know, but she had a little pride a little bit. She acted like she was a little stuck up, but I got around that. I told her to holler at me. She was like, nah, you holler at me. I said, nah, I already approached you. She was acting all prideful. So I said, all right, bet, it's cool. I ain't tripping. I dipped. So she ended up reaching out back to me. She hit me up. I finally got back with her, hooked up with her. You know, I did it because, hey, I wanted to show her how, my transformation. I ain't gonna lie, I was bragging a little bit. I'm being honest with you guys. I did it because I wanted her to see my transformation. Like, yeah, I ain't the dude that you were cheating on me for. Because I noticed the dudes that she would cheat on me with were dudes that were buff, dudes that had the body, the yokes, the muscles, all that. So I wanted all that. I was like, bro, I'm gonna get my body right. Forget all this. I ain't gonna be that dude that's getting cheated. I'm gonna be the guy that's doing the cheating. Because I got to my point where I stopped. I didn't even like marriages no more. I didn't even want to get married. I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to be. I stopped believing in marriage. I stopped believing in commitment. Like I was gonna just cheat on women. That's how messed up I was mentally. Cause I was like, man, it's getting done to me. I'm gonna do it to them before it comes back to me. So I ended up seeing old girl. Ended up going to her house. Mind you, during this particular time when me and my second ex broke up, I went celibate. When I was going on this bulk, I went celibate. I didn't have sex with no woman, but I was still masturbating. I was still watching pornography. So sin is sin, right? So I was still replacing the fornication with pornography, which is a sin, to help that urge. Because I was, when you're not having sex, you become more horny. So I ended up telling old girl, my first ex, because I ended up telling her, I said, hey, I'm practicing celibacy. I had quit smoking for 30 days. I quit smoking for 30 days because I wanted to just start fresh. And it was the hardest thing ever because when I had stopped smoking during that particular month, I was getting tormented by my second ex of her marriage. It was coming all back, so I had to like fight it. It was extremely hard. So I ended up telling her, hey, I'm celibate. I'm saving myself for marriage. And she's like, oh, okay, that's good. Okay. Yeah, in her eyes, she didn't really care because I noticed when she see me and I went to her house, she's never been, my first ex has never showed me the way she was looking at me when she see me. This version of me was, I've never experienced that when she see me in the past. I've never experienced her be all up on me like that. She would just look at me all night. And she was like super amazed with me. I've never experienced that because she's never acted like that towards me. Never. It's usually me doing that to her during when I used to be with her during that particular time of my life. So she was showing me something completely different, but I already got over her through my second ex. I didn't care about her no more. I lost love for her. Like, I loved her as a friend, but I didn't love her enough to commit with her. I didn't love her enough to want to be back with her because I remember the pain she brought me. Plus, I just didn't want her no more. So she knew. I kept it real with her, and plus I was gonna be moving to Vegas anyway during that particular time. So my pops ended up telling me, he said, son, I wouldn't talk to her if I were you. I said, why? He got a dude. I said, man, pops, I don't care, man. I don't care if she got a dude. Man, this is exactly what I told my pops. Man, I don't care if she got a dude, man. Hey, the dudes didn't care when I was with her. I'm gonna get right back at them. I don't care. They didn't care about me when I was with my first ex. I'm not gonna care about them. That's the attitude I had. I didn't care. Man, I ain't tripping off those dudes. He said, son, it can result to death. I'm trying to tell you, you don't want to mess with that. Whatever. You know what you're talking about. And don't get me wrong. I was still believing what he was saying, but it was in the back of my mind, like, damn, he could be right, but I didn't care. So anyway, I'm telling old girl I'm not trying to fornicate with her. Did that stop her, man? We ended up fornicating. We ended up fornicating because she was just touching all over me too much. She knew my spots. And she just kept touching all over me, man, and just it was a wrap. I couldn't. And you know what? I blame myself because I shouldn't have been over there, but I put myself in that situation. It was my fault. I ended up falling into fornication with my first ex, and she started getting hooked again. She wanted to marry me. I'm like, nah, I don't do marriage, bro. I don't trust you. I told her straight up, I don't trust you, bro. I ain't marrying you, bro. She was real cool about it, but she could tell it hurt her because she really wanted to marry me, and I just didn't want to marry her. And that's when I realized the tables turned. Oh, the tables are turning. And that's when I realized, I can really get you back, but I ain't that type of dude. So I didn't, even though I was still worldly with her and sinning with her, I still had enough love to not want to do her the same way she did me, because I just didn't care no more. I didn't care. I didn't care. I'd rather just have her as a friend. Well, coming December of 2023, it was December 23rd. The dude that she was with, I guess she stopped seeing him for me. The dude that she was literally with, she stopped seeing him for me. She started spending time with me. And I was only hanging out with my ex because I was just buying time, and I enjoyed her company. I really did enjoy hanging out with my first ex. It was fun for that particular moment. And the dude took his life. The dude took his life. He shot himself in the head. He committed suicide. And when I found out he committed suicide, it messed me up. It messed me up mentally because I felt like I had something to do with that. I feel like I was responsible behind his death. The guilt, it was too much for me to bear. It was so much. Even though I was doing what any other guy would do, mess with somebody else's girl. She had told me I wasn't her dude until he died. And once he died, then she wants to, that was my boyfriend. And I'm like, you told me he wasn't your man. And now I'm feeling that guilt. So I was having sleepless nights. I feel sad for the dude. I'll go to my homies and tell them what happened. They be like, bro, why you feeling sorry for that dude? He wouldn't feel sorry for you. Yeah, I know you're right. He wouldn't feel sorry for you, bro. He'd be doing that to you. But it still didn't feel right for me, because I'm like, what if that was me though? What if he caught me and her at the wrong time, and he could have ended both of us and him? So that was another thing that was going in my head, like, bro, like, it's serious, bro. Like, I put myself in a situation that I could have got killed. I wouldn't be here to tell you guys my story. So coming around January of 2024, this year, the pain was so great. I was still smoking all up until, say, January 3rd. And then I went to my brother Elijah's house. Here's his Instagram. I came back to Sacramento sad and depressed. He had called me and he prayed over me. And bro, and when I say I felt down to tears, I felt so much stuff lift off my body to where I renounced the name Sid. I renounced fornication. I renounced lust. I renounced idolatry. I renounced covetousness. I renounced marijuana, all that stuff. I felt heat coming in the car. It was raining that night too. It was raining. My brother, he was praying over me. And that's when January 7th came. I got baptized and I started serving the Lord. And this is my testimony, brothers and sisters. The reason I'm sharing with you guys my testimony is because I want you guys to know that the Lord does love you. Don't kill yourself behind a man or a woman. It's not worth it. The Lord put me in this situation for me he's using my vessel to help anybody out there is dealing with suicide. Anybody out there is dealing with hopelessness. I've experienced it. I know what it's like. I've experienced getting cheated on. I've experienced that. I know what it's like. So the Lord is using my vessel to help you guys out. So please, I'm begging you guys, don't do it. That's my story. The pain I had to go through to get to where I am now, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, because it taught me to be a way better man than I was back then. I was still dead mentally. Now I'm alive. And now I can give you guys my testimony. This is my testimony for you guys. So if you guys have any questions, anything, any comments, please feel free to comment down below. The Lord loves you. And just because you go through bad breakups, it's never the end. It's never the end. So this is my testimony. I know where you guys are going through. I know what each and every one of you guys are going through. Men and women, I know what you guys are going through. I understand. I've been through it. But I promise you, if you guys fight, you guys pray, you guys and put God into it, you guys will have a breakthrough. If you guys ever need someone to talk to, ever, I'm here. You guys can reach out to me on my Instagram. We could do some Zoom calls. I'm here for you guys. I want to be able to give back to you guys. So please, for anybody that's struggling with suicide, hopelessness, giving up, learn from this story. If I can do it, so can you. And remember, Jesus loves all you guys. He loves each and every one of you guys. I hope this video touched many of you guys. I hope and pray that this video touched many of you guys. I love each and every one of you guys. God bless.